The quiet day today, I see. That's alright. That's alright. I'm like sniffly today. I don't know why. I just walked and got some medicine because today marks the second day I've been cold turkey on my anxiety medicines. So I'm a little loopy. Actually, I'm like a little tired mostly. You're the only one here. That means that you're the #1 superstar of today. I have some veggie straws that I got. I was called turkey. No. I'm on cold turkey. Like, I've been cold turkey. It's like when all of a sudden you just stop taking it. Because I ran out of my medicine, so I had to, like, just completely stop. And so that's called cold turkey. My medicine didn't call me turkey. Scrumptious. Whenever I get like veggie straws, I just want to like get like a V8 or a Clamato juice and like slurp the juice out through the veggie straws. You've never heard that phrase before? I don't think it's used very often these days. And maybe it's also more of a like America thing. Who knows? I have like... My cats are so messy. Hi, Bimstar! My cats are so messy. They just like... They track their litter everywhere they go because after they like use the litter box, they just run across the entire condo like monkeys. Hi! It's like after they relieve themselves, they're like the poop zoomies. They just sprint all over the place and then the litter gets all over the house. I have like litter on my desk. Why? Why? They're so silly. Speaking of kitties, we found out that my kitty had pink eye. So we got some medicines for her. She's taking some painkillers. That's also good for her fever because she was almost getting a fever. And then we got her some eye drops. So she's looking a lot better. She doesn't have swollen eyeballs anymore. Hi, Phil! You can see your Animal Crossing icons so much better on Warrior Cat Wednesdays. Is there a reason I'm just sitting here eating? No. Derwin! Derwin? I don't know. He's a silly goose. I don't know what duck Bimstar is right now. It's like, I feel like her name would be Lucy though. Just like judged off of her like picture, she looks like a Lucy. Okay. I'm putting my veggie straws away. And by away, I mean I'm turning them over. So I can't access them anymore, and I won't eat them. So, what's new? What's crack-a-lackin'? I revamped a lot of my, my Discord. If you guys have seen, I like gave everything a little bit of a spice up. I think I'm gonna like add a little icons in front of all of the channel names, but right now they're just blank because I couldn't decide what they were at the time. We have I figured out how to use webhooks. So now we have a Meet No-No section where I have some like information about me. And it's all fancy because Snickle Fritz is the one saying it. Hi, Corey! And then I made a new channel for Stream Diaries, which is something that I should have started two streams ago, but I didn't. And I don't... Is there a point to do a Warrior Cat stream diary? I thought that it would be nice to, like, do so people who miss streams can get, like, a nice summary of what happened during the stream. I can thank people who, like, donated or subbed or followed. It'll be cute! I want to, like, do it so it's, like, also through webhooks so that it'll have, like, a cool, pretty... What's the word? Outline? Template! Template! I love that idea! Yeah! It'll be really cute. And then I deleted a bunch of channels. Oh yeah, and I figured out I was doing like this fancy like way to do the rolls and stuff, and it looked really cool. And then, have you been making the? I forgot! No! I'll do it soon. I'll do it soon. But I did like I had like a bot, the Mimu bot, and I was doing like a really like fancy kind of roll post so people could pick their roles. And then I found out that Discord actually has that integrated now. And all what you need to do is go to the, like, now you, if you want to get different roles, you go to the channels and roles at the very top of the Discord. And then you can pick the roles. They just have them now. Insane. So yeah, you can pick your color. I have colors now, so you can pick whatever color you want your name to be. I'm going to probably make one for like games and stuff, specifically for the Minecraft server that is it's hidden right now. Wait, where is it? Oh, I don't have access on this account. Gotta pass those along to those I mod for. Yeah! It's called, what is it called? You go into your server settings and then I think it's called like out something. Bro knows what a childhood is. I can't wait. Yeah! I know what a childhood is. Thank you for the follow, Yuna! Let me check. So yeah, you go into your server settings. And then you scroll down and then it says community. It's called onboarding. And you have to set it up. You have to set it up and then you can have like special, like the rules are done. You get roles, you get like default channels, I guess. It's really cool. It's very like professional actually. Yeah. So that's cool. That's fun. Hopefully I can finish that soon. It took so much longer than I thought it was gonna take. Like, just like making everything look cute. And now I have like a little welcome message. So every time somebody joins the server, they get a cute little message. And then there's the rules page, which is, just, the rules. Yeah! Okay. I think that's most of it. No ears. Don't eat my ears! I can't believe you're not eating no scalpel today. I'm going to take as long as you need to make it. Thank you, Cordy. So, Warrior Cat Wednesday. Let's get to it. I think we'll be able to finish maybe not too fast, maybe like an hour. I think maybe if we give ourselves an hour, we'll be able to finish. Don't eat me! Can't believe this. My ears are getting eaten. The rest of me is getting eaten. Do you eat my clothes as well? That's something that I always wonder. When someone says, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat you. Do they also eat the clothes? Yes. Yeah. That's what I thought. Like, you would just, like, grab you as you are and just, like, stuff you in your mouth. I do have a cookie form! Oh, I need to design a cookie run version of myself. That would be really cute. Cookies! Yeah. I'll make a deal with you. Okay, what's your deal? I'm listening. I got my ears. The previous Warrior Cat book, you're eating, what was it, midnight? No, midnight was the first one. Sunset. Every month I get a cookie and I won't eat any of your stuff. Oh, you know what? That's a good deal. Oh, also I need to learn how to use 3D software so I can teach how to use that since VTube Studios won't accept 3D models. I've used, there's like Meow. Oh gosh, what's it called? Meow something? I've used Meow something before. Stretch! Stretch! Thank you for the stretch and the hydrate. I have Gatorade today to drink. Ooh, blue great Gatorade. Don't you love drinking Gatorade? Sometimes I just drink Gatorade to feel healthy. Mika Wish won! Congrats, Mika. Alright, let's get down to business. To defeat the Huns. Previously on Warrior Cat's Twilight, drink around 30 to 40 bottles of water. Oh my god, be careful. You don't want to get too hydrated. That's a thing that can happen, you know. You can get overly hydrated and get hospitalized because you drank too much water. All right, so what happened last time? It's normal for me, okay? Just don't drink even more. Then it might be too much. If I don't, my throat feels weird. Oh. Okay, so last time on Warrior Cats, Squirrel Flight is still being a little unhappy with Brambleclaw. They're still not like friends yet. Most of it was Leaf Pool oriented, I feel. Leaf Pool's been feeling a little left out because Brightheart is hanging out in the medicine cat den, and she's hanging out there because Daisy, the kitty pet with kits, is kind of taking up a lot of Cloudtail's time, and he's dedicating a lot of his time to help her like learn how to fight. And so there's some relationship tension between Brightheart and Cloudtail. Warrior Cat roleplay, I'll just need to find out a storyline starting from book 1. Ooh, nice. Right, so she's been helping out to kind of like distract herself, but Leafpool's kind of like, she's like taking my spot. And then every single cat's like, just let her. She needs to focus. Chapter 4 of the first book? Right, so then she... Oh. Into the Wild, yes! We're currently on We're currently on, what is this? This is the fourth book of the second series. We've read through all of the first series and all of the, Twilight. All of the first series and most of the second series. So we're almost on the third series, which I'm most excited for. I love the third series. It's my favorite series. This favorite saga? Or is the saga the all of it? My favorite season. I'm gonna use TV terms. So yeah, after that's been going on, and Squirrel Flight's been a little sussy about Leafpool because she's been acting really weird, and so she tried to follow her once, and then she lost track of Leafpool, and then she had to come back, and then she kind of like jumped her at the last moment, kind of like, aha, you've been sneaking out, and Leafpool's like, no, I haven't. Oh my god, did you just see that? My cat started crying. The cat on the corner, she started crying for Feathertail. Yeah, rest in peace, Feathertail. We love you. Mega Bomb. Do we have Mega Bomb? I don't think we do. But we have, if you do the redeem, there's like, Big Bomb. Many bombs. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Yuna, you're distracting me so well. Also, I just realized the number in your name is my favorite number. Because it looks like a little cat face. Anyways. So, Squirrel Flight followed Leafpool, lost track of Leafpool, so she went back to camp and waited for Leafpool to come back. And then... Permaclaim. The Diva Froggo. What's the Diva Froggo? I need a name. Is her name Diva? Okay. I'll remember to do that after the stream. They're veggie straws. No popcorn today. But I do love popcorn. Same thing. Oh! Yes! My coffee delivery is here. Veggie straws are... No! Popcorn is good. Popcorn, I think, is better than veggie straws, but... Veggie straws are like, I was just really craving something salty. And I really wanted, what? Popcorn is not overrated. You guys are popcorn. Pop cubs. Bite me. Bite me to the death. Whoa. I don't even know what flavor this is. Peppermint? I can't tell. I do remember how you said that. Oh my god, Kirby's too powerful. Kirby's already powerful, and if Kirby's trans, then it's even more powerful. You're too powerful! You're OP! I've lost my hair. My hair has been eaten. No! We've been eaten. Okay, back to the summary. Back to the summary so we can begin reading. We have to read the entire rest of the book today. It's at least 100 pages. We do not need a bald no toggle. No bald toggles. We haven't even gotten past that. We haven't gotten past the summary. All right, so Leafpool and Squirrelflight got in a quarrel. They had a little fight. And then because she's been sneaking out, Leafpool's been sneaking out to meet Crowfeather because they're having a little spicy relationship. Then she went to go meet him once, and Cinderpelt followed her. And Cinderpelt came out and then told her off, and then Leafpool got really mad, and then she ran away because Cinderpelt basically like banished her from seeing Crowfeather, and she was really sad about that. Still alive? Yes, he's alive. Don't say bad, Squirrel Tail. Wait, who's Squirrel Flight? There is no Squirrel Tail. You're surprised? It's only the second series. Momo! Hello! Banished to the realms of the danged. The danged. Arrived once again, kneel upon my presence and witness. How was your semester, Momo? I missed you too. It was wonderful. Oh, good. I'm so glad. For me, I felt like college university slash was like so fun. I loved it so much. Yuna, don't eat Moo. I made a game. What? That's so cool. What was your game about? I'm taking this moment to eat some more veggie straws. Oh my god, your octopus has hands. I have all the veggie straws. Moomoo's but a voice. Hi, Gibbons! You have to make a game like, you know, a war or risk? Yes! You're happy? Good. I'm glad you're happy. Tabletop. You made it like on a computer though? You had Chick-fil-A. Oh, cool! Oh. None of you are coming into my mouth. Oh. Oh, you made it on a board. Nice. That's even cooler. What the? So you had to like make all the pieces and stuff? Oh. Contained by ads. I'm on a digital games course, right? And the final work for the first semester is making an analog game, which is a physical game. Oh! Yeah, we're still in summary. Oh, resource and troop management. Nice! That sounds really fun. What did you call it? Hi, cat! Yummy food. Biscuit. Bummuskuskul. I was straight up ready to believe that that was a real food dish. Reikai. Spirit Realm. Oh, that's so cool. GTA 6 came out before you got done. No, apple. No, scapple. Yeah, you should. And if you have any like pictures of it you feel comfortable to share, you should put them in the art tag. Or the art channel because it's an art. Current death toll 20 plus. Yeah. That's how many cats died this series. All right, let's finish the summary so I can actually begin reading. Right, so Cinderpelt told Leafpool off, right? Told Leafpool off, and then Leafpool ran and then went to go talk to StarClan. And then in StarClan, she kind of like, she spoke to Spotted Leaf, and Spotted Leaf said some words, and then Leafpool took it as an, oh, I should follow my heart and be in love with Crowfeather. So she was really happy. She ran away, she ran back to find Crowfeather. Crowfeather was waiting for her because he was anxious or something, I don't know. And then she said, I'm ready, I'm gonna run away with you. And then he was like, oh my god, really? And then she was like, yeah. And then he was like, let's go. And then she was like, right now? And then he was like, yeah, right now. And then she was like, oh, okay, sure. And that's where we ended last time. Crowfeather and Leafpool have just eloped. They ran away together. Scandalous. Extremely scandalous behavior. Chapter 18. All right. As usual, I will try to refrain from looking at chat, or I'll probably look at chat, but I'll refrain from talking to chat while I'm in the middle of reading the chapter. Sometimes I will break because I get like, something spicy happens. Please no spoilers for any of the books in the chat. And yes, please enjoy. If I suck at reading at first, that always happens. Good luck, Yuna! All right, let's go. Chapter 18. Squirrelfly was on the dawn patrol with Ashfur and Thornclaw, checking the ShadowClan border. Everything was quiet. The ShadowClan scent markings at the foot of the dead tree were strong and fresh. Have you scented either of those kitty pets? She asked Ashfur as he came up to join her. Not a thing. Ashfur's blue eyes gleamed with satisfaction. You must have scared them off for good. Squirrelflight twitched her ears. I hope so. If I never see them again, it'll be too soon. Ashfur waved his tail to summon Rainwhisker, who had been renewing the ThunderClan scent markers further up the border, and the patrol set off back to camp. The sun was rising as they emerged from the thorn tunnel. Golden rays slanted down into the stone hollow, and the ground was dappled with shadows of fresh leaves. Stopping just inside the entrance, Squirrelflight arched her back in a long stretch and let the warmth soak into her pelt. Squirrelflight! Cinderpelt called to her from across the camp. The medicine cat was limping rapidly towards her. Have you seen Leafpool this morning? Alarm flared in Squirrelflight's belly. No, she replied. We were over by the ShadowClan border. She almost added, and Leafpool only ever goes towards WindClan, but stopped herself in time. Cinderpelt nodded, and Squirrelflight realized the medicine cat already knew what she had not put into words. I saw her last night. Cinderpelt broke off, twitching her ears. Squirrelflight stared at her. What was the medicine cat not telling her? When I woke up, her nest was cold, Cinderpelt went on, and her scent was stale. She hadn't been here all night. But she always comes back before dawn, Squirrelflight blurted out. Cinderpelt's eyes narrowed and Squirrelflight flinched. Would the medicine cat be angry that Squirrelflight had known her sister's secret all along? I'm sorry, Cinderpelt, she began. Cinderpelt stopped her with a dismissive flick of her tail. It's all right. I know she's been visiting Crowfeather. Crowfeather? Squirrelflight felt every hair on her pelt bristle. All she had known was that Leafpool had had some reason to sneak out of camp at night. That can't be true. Crowfeather is in love with Feathertail. Feathertail's dead, and it's possible to be in love with more than one cat in a lifetime. Squirrelflight, have you never noticed how they look at each other at gatherings? Where did you think she was going all these nights? Squirrelflight stared at her, speechless with shock. Leafpool was a medicine cat. Then she remembered sensing her sister's chaotic feelings of guilt and excitement, and she knew Cinderpelt must be right. Guilt flooded over her. She had been so distracted by her new friendship with Ashfur that she hadn't tried hard enough to find out what was troubling her sister. Do you know, or do you think she's gone to WindClan to be with Crowfeather? She asked, her voice hoarse. Cinderpelt's whiskers twitched. Perhaps. Would WindClan accept her? What do you think? The medicine cat's tone was dry. Leafpool is a valuable cat for any clan, but we can't be sure. She added, last night, when Leafpool left the camp, I followed her. She saw me, and we quarreled. We both said things that should have been left unsaid. Perhaps she's somewhere in ThunderClan territory, waiting until her temper is cooled before she comes back to camp. Cinderpelt spoke briskly, without betraying much feeling. Squirrelflight wondered if her coldness came from anger and disappointment at Leafpool's betrayal. But as Cinderpelt turned away, Squirrelflight heard her mutter, ScarClan be with her, and bring her back safe. The anguish in her voice revealed how much she had been torn apart by Leafpool's disappearance. The camp was stirring around them. Daisy appeared at the entrance to the nursery, blinked lazily in the sunlight, then called out her kits. The three little scraps tumbled happily on the ground in front of her, squealing and batting each other with soft paws. On the other side of the clearing, Sandstorm slid out of the warrior's den, calling to Cloudtail and Dustpelt for a hunting patrol. The three cats flopped across the clearing and out through the tunnel, waving their tails at Squirrelflight and Cinderpelt as they passed. A few moments later, Whitepaw and Birchpaw emerged from the apprentice's den, arguing about whose turn it was to fetch mouse bile for the elders' ticks. Squirrelflight knew it won't be long before some cat noticed Leafpool's absence and started asking questions. I'm going to tell Firestar. Suddenly, Cinderpelt sounded exhausted. Squirrelflight ran after her. No, don't tell him, or any other cat just yet. I'll go out and look for Leafpool. Maybe I can bring her home before any cat notices she's gone. Cinderpelt hesitated. Then her eyes seemed to focus again, and she nodded. Thank you, Squirrelflight. It's very important to find her. She'll lose so much. Her clan, her kin, her life as a medicine cat. If she doesn't come back. She looked away and added more quietly, I don't think she understands how much her clan needs her. I'm on my way. Squirrelflight whipped around and plunged into the thorn tunnel. She headed straight for WindClan border. In spite of what Cinderpelt had said, she didn't believe Leafpool was sulking somewhere in ThunderClan territory. Leafpool never sulked, but maybe Squirrelflight didn't know her sister as well as she thought. She paused to taste the air, searching for a trace of Leafpool's scent. If I don't find her on the border, I'll have to go into WindClan territory, she decided out loud. Go into WindClan? Why? Squirrelflight jumped. Brambleclaw, you nearly frightened me out of my fur. She gulped, spinning around to see the tabby warrior stepping out from the shelter of a hazel thicket. What were you saying about WindClan? Brambleclaw persisted. We don't want to stir up trouble with them. One Star's prickly enough as it is. I'm not looking for trouble, Squirrelflight retorted. She was too shaken to lie about where she was going. I've got to find Leafpool. Cinderpelt thinks she's gone to WindClan so she can be with Crowfeather. Brambleclaw's ears twitched. But she's a medicine cat. Squirrelflight glared at him. Tell me something I don't know. Brambleclaw still remained infuriatingly calm. You're right. We have to go after her. He meowed. We don't want One Star to think we're driving our cats away. As Squirrelflight let out a furious hiss, he added, and we want Leafpool back. She's making a big mistake, leaving her own clan. She's lost her mind! Squirrelflight tore at the ground with her claws. I've got to find her before Firestar finds out. Do you think she'll come back? Brambleclaw's amber gaze was serious. We can't force her. She has to! If she really has gone to join with WindClan, it must have been a hard decision for her, Brambleclaw pointed out. It won't be easy to change her mind. But I have to try, Squirrelflight protested. And even if I can't convince her, I need to know where she is. Can you not sense anything? Brambleclaw asked. You know, like when we were on our journey? Squirrelflight reached out with that strange sense she had always shared with her sister. She tried to picture Leafpool, and for a heartbeat she thought she picked up a trace of wind on the moorland, but then it was gone, leaving nothing but emptiness. I can't see her anywhere, she mewed wretchedly. Brambleclaw straightened up. Well, standing here won't solve anything. Let's go. You'll come with me? Squirrelflight stared at him in surprise. If you're going to Windglen, you'll need some cat with you, Brambleclaw replied. ThunderClan cats aren't exactly One-Star's favorite guests these days. Gratitude flooded over Squirrelflight like a warm wash of sunlight. Whatever she felt about Brambleclaw's private ambitions, or his willingness to trust Hawkfrost, she couldn't think of any other cat she'd rather have beside her right now. They padded towards the border in silence. Squirrelflight was still feeling too stunned to speak. How could Leafpool think about giving up her life as a ThunderClan cat? Didn't her kin, her friends, her work as a medicine cat mean anything to her? What about StarClan? Did Leafpool have a choice not to be a medicine cat? What about Firestar? Squirrelflight's pout prickled as she wondered what she could possibly say to her father to explain where Leafpool had gone. The sun shone down from a blue sky dotted with tiny puffs of cloud. Dew glittered on the grass, and on strands of cobweb stretched precariously across thickets of bramble. New fronds of bracken were beginning to uncurl, and everywhere Squirrelflight could smell the sharp green scent of growing things. But even the rustle of prey in the undergrowth didn't distract Squirrelflight from her troubled thoughts. Glancing sideways, she met Brambleclaw's eyes and saw nothing but calm sympathy in his face. She realized he must understand part of what she was facing, or what she was feeling, because he too had lost a sister to another clan. Did you feel like this when Tawnypelt left? As if nothing would ever be all right again? Brambleclaw waited until they had ducked beneath some low-hanging ferns before replying. At first, I felt so lonely I thought I won't be able to bear it, he meowed. But I knew I had to respect her decision, and we're still friends, even though she's in a different clan. But it's not the same, Squirrelflight thought, and Tawnypelt wasn't a medicine cat, chosen by StarClan to serve her clanmates. They followed the stream upward on the ThunderClan side, tasting the air every few paces for any sign of Leafpool. When the trees gave way to bare moorland, Squirrelflight picked up a faint trace, but it was stale, at least from the night before, and it stopped at the edge of the stream. She crossed here, she meowed to Brambleclaw. The tabby warrior nosed the grasses that overhung the water and nodded. Looks like it. He raised his head and gazed across the moorland. Okay, Windclan it is. He led the way across the stream, and Squirrelflight followed, splashing through brown, peaty water that ran ice-cold over pebbles. On the other side, they found more of Leafpool's scent, mingled with the second cat's. Windclan, Brambleclaw meowed. Crowfeather, I think. He must have been waiting for her. Squirrelflight's last hope vanished, and for the first time she realized she might have lost her sister forever. Chapter 19. I work on it whenever I get bored. Oh, Cinderpaw. She's Cinderpelt now. She's not an apprentice. Also, hello, Cappuccino. Veggie straw break. Chapter 19. We'd better go straight to the camp, Brambleclaw decided, and hope that One Star is in a welcoming mood. I'm not going home without talking to Leafpool, Squirrelflight mewed determinedly. She hoped One Star wouldn't try to stop them from seeing her sister. The Windclan leader had been so hostile at the last gathering that she felt very vulnerable crossing the open moorland where they could be spotted so easily. She kept scanning the bare slopes for approaching cats, that it was still a shock when a patrol leaped out from behind a jutting rock and raced across the turf towards them. She let out a hiss. Look, it's Webfoot and Weaselfur. They stopped and waited for the Windclan cats to reach them. As well as the two warriors, there was an apprentice Squirrelflight didn't recognize. Her belly clenched when she saw the hostility in Webfoot's eyes and the way his neck fur bristled as he skidded to a halt in front of them. What are you doing in our territory? He snarled. We need to speak to One Star, Brambleclaw told him. Webfoot lashed his tail from side to side. More ThunderClan interference? What does Firestar want this time? We'll tell that to One Star. Webfoot and Weaselfur exchanged a glance. Scoreflight wondered if they were going to have to fight their way past. Then Webfoot let out a faint snort of disgust. We don't need you to tell us why you're here. We already know, and I guess One Star will want to hear what you have to say. He and Weaselfur fell back to let Brambleclaw and Scoreflight keep going, while the apprentice watched them with hot, accusing eyes. Scoreflight shot a questioning glance at Brambleclaw, but the tabby warrior looked as bewildered as she felt. Webfoot must be talking about Leafpool, but it didn't make sense that they'd be so angry about a cat wanting to join their clan. The two WindClan warriors flanked them all the way to the camp, one on each side. As they climbed towards the hollow, the apprentice ran ahead to warn One Star. By the time Squirrelflight and Brambleclaw reached the edge of the hollow, One Star was waiting for them beside the pile of rocks in the center. His deputy, Ashfur, and a couple of other warriors stood beside him, all looking up expectantly as Squirrelflight and Brambleclaw started to climb down into the hollow. There was no sign of Leafpool and Crowfeather, and Squirrelflight gulped. Surely One Star wasn't keeping them under guard. Here they are, Webfoot mewed. One Star stepped forward, his ears flattened. Well, I presume Firestar sent you. Have you come to explain why ThunderClan have stolen one of our warriors? What? Fury raced through Squirrelflight like a flame through dry grass. She stepped forward until she was nose to nose with One Star. How dare you call us thieves? It's WindClan who... She broke off when Brambleclaw slapped his tail across her mouth. She glared at him, but his amber eyes clearly signaled a warning. Flexing her claws, she reluctantly took a pace back. The tabby warrior dipped his head to One Star. ThunderClan haven't stolen any WindClan warriors, he meowed. Why? Has one gone missing? It's Crowfeather, isn't it? Squirrelflight's heart started pounding hard. One Star's eyes narrowed, but before he could speak, Ashfoot interrupted. Yes, do you know where he is? She sounded desperate, and Squirrelflight remembered she was Crowfeather's mother. Keep quiet! One Star snarled, glaring at Ashfoot, but the gray she-cat didn't flinch. When did you last see him? Brambleclaw asked, breaking the tension between the WindClan leader and his deputy. We might be able to help. We don't want help from ThunderClan, Webfoot spat. One Star silenced him with a wave of his tail. Crowfeather did not sleep in the warrior's den last night, he meowed. This morning we followed his scent trail as far as the border with ThunderClan. There his scent mingled with the ThunderClan cats. They obviously met there. Weaselfur pushed forward to stand beside his leader. Wait a moment, he mewed to Brambleclaw. If you knew nothing about Crowfeather, why are you here? Do you know which ThunderClan cat he met with? Squirrelflight nodded. There was no use hiding the truth now. My sister, Leafpool, she's vanished too. We followed her scent to the border. But she's a medicine cat, Ashfoot exclaimed. Medicine cats have feelings just like any other cat, Squirrelflight said, defending her sister. One Star let out an angry hiss. She has broken the laws of StarClan. Crowfeather must have persuaded her to go. Squirrelflight flashed back at him. Brambleclaw shot her a warning glance. One Star, you're making it a big mistake. If you try to turn Firestar and ThunderClan into enemies, we have to work together and find both our missing cats. How? One Star was clearly making a massive effort to control his anger. As it ebbed away, he just sounded bewildered. If Crowfeather isn't with you, then where have they gone? Where could they go? Ashfoot asked despairingly, as if she didn't expect an answer. We can try and find out. Brambleclaw meowed. Maybe we can follow their scent trail. I'll go and look, Ashfur offered. One Star nodded. Take another warrior with you. We'll come too, Squirrelflight mewed. To her relief, One Star didn't object. Ashfoot beckoned to Tornir. The four cats left the camp and headed for the place close to the border where they had last scented their clanmates. Squirrelflight felt more anxious with every step. Would Leafpool be safe, traveling into unknown territory with only one other cat? How could they live a normal life without the support of their clans? We must find them, she vowed. They're making a huge mistake. Ashfoot was first to pick up the scent trail again. This way, she meowed, gesturing with her tail. The four cats spread out with a few tail lengths between them, noses to the ground in case the cats they were following split up again. But the two trails went on side by side, across the wind-cloud scent markers and on into the hills. Squirrelflight's heart sank. Until then, she had clung to a faint hope that they would find Leafpool and Crowfeather hiding on the edge of the territory. Now she had to admit that they were truly gone. The lake soon vanished behind a fold of moorland. The hills grew steeper and bleaker, with rocks shutting through the scratchy grass. Squirrelflight started to feel tired and cold. She couldn't imagine how Leafpool had found the strength to set out into this hostile country. She must have been so desperate. At last, Brambleclaw came to a halt at the top of a rise. Beyond, the ground fell away into restless gray scree, with only a few stunted thorn bushes poking out of it. "I can't send them anymore," he announced. All four cats exchanged worried glances. Unwilling to give up yet, they padded along the crest of the hill, trying to pick up the scent again, but there was nothing. Squirrelflight launched herself down the slope, splinters of rock sharp beneath her paws. But there was no scent there. There was no scent there either. Nothing to tell her which way her sister and the wind-clan cat had gone. "This is hopeless," Tornier was mewing as Squirrelflight scrambled up to join the others. "We're never going to find them." "We'd better go back," mewed Brambleclaw. "No!" Squirrelflight protested. "We can't let them go like this." Brambleclaw waved his sail to take in the harsh rock stretching in front of them, the barren moorland, and the sky. They could be anywhere. "He's right." Ashfut's eyes were dark with pain. "There's nothing more we can do." Brambleclaw padded up to Squirrelflight and rested his tail on her shoulder. "We can't track them down if they don't want to be found," he meowed gently. Squirrelflight wanted to insist that they could, but deep within her fur she knew Leafpool and Crowfeather had gone. "I'll never see my sister again." She turned her head to press her cheek against Brambleclaw, letting his familiar scent comfort her. They had been through so much together to lead the clans to their new home. She was glad he was here, helping her with this new agony. The sun was close to sinking below the horizon when they reached the wind-clan border again. Squirrelflight said goodbye to Ashfut and Tornier and splashed wearily through the stream behind Brambleclaw. What were they going to say to Firestar? "We're losing all the cats who made the journey to find Midnight," she mewed to Brambleclaw. "Feathertail, Stormfur, and now Crowfeather." A chill rippled across her fur. "Do you think that means StarClan doesn't want us to settle here after all?" Brambleclaw shook his head. "I'm sure this is where they wanted the clans to be. Don't start doubting them, Squirrelflight." "We never thought settling into our new homes would be easy." "No, but I never thought it would be this difficult," Squirrelflight murmured as she followed him back through the shadowed forest. Though it was dark under the trees, a few rays of sun still reached into the stone hollow, staining the clearing with blood-red light. Squirrelflight suppressed a shiver and wondered if a medicine cat would think it was a sign from StarClan. As soon as she entered the camp, she could tell the whole clan had noticed Leafpool's disappearance. Ferncloud and Dustpelt were crouched beside the fresh kill pile, their heads close together. Breakenfur, Ashfur, and their two apprentices were in an anxious huddle outside the apprentices' den. The elders had emerged from their den underneath a twisted hazel bush, and just below the high ledge, Firestar was speaking to Sandstorm, Cinderpelt, and Brightheart. Only Daisy's kits hadn't seemed to notice anything was wrong, scuffling happily together on the dusty ground outside the nursery. Squirrelflight was aware of cats turning to look at her, their eyes burning into her fur as she crossed the clearing with Brambleclaw. She felt a ripple of hope go through her clanmates like wind across grass, only to die away when they saw Leafpool wasn't with them. Firestar began to pad towards them, but it was Brightheart who reached them first. I'm sorry," she mewed. Her voice cracked with distress, and her good eye was filled with guilt. "I wasn't trying to take her place. Leafpool is our medicine cat, just like Cinderpelt." "I'm sure she didn't leave because of you," Squirrelflight replied awkwardly. She knew quite well that Leafpool had been unhappy about the way Brightheart was taking over her medicine cat duties. "What happened?" Firestar demanded, halting in front of his daughter. "What did you find out?" "Did you find Leafpool?" Sandstorm added. Other cats gathered around, echoing have to breathe more. Echoing Sandstorm's question, some of them mentioned Crowfeather. Leafpool's secret wasn't a secret any longer. Cinderpelt must have been forced to tell her clanmates everything she knew. It was Brambleclaw who explained. Her scent trail led into WindClan territory, so we went to visit their camp. Cinderpelt limped up just then, in time to hear Brambleclaw's words. Did you speak with her? Brambleclaw shook his head. She wasn't there. She and Crowfeather had already left the territory. We followed their scent trail with a couple of the WindClan cats, but we lost it at the hills. They've gone. No! Cinderpelt's voice was a rough whisper. Terrible fear dulled her eyes. Firestar and Sandstorm moved closer together until their pelts brushed. We lost her. Sandstorm mewed softly. The whole clan has lost her. Firestar meowed. Scorflight wanted to wail out loud. Leafpool had lost so much too. She must have loved Crowfeather very much to give up everything for him. What if I do that for Ashfur? Scorflight wondered. Somehow, she didn't think she would. For Brambleclaw? She blinked, realizing that was a question she couldn't answer. Dun, 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 dun. I guess that's a pretty reasonable way to figure out if you like someone or not. Wait, I gotta... Oh no! There's some water leaking somewhere. Okay, anyways, let's continue. Chapter 20. Leafpool paused at the top of a ridge, trying to ignore the ache in her paws as she turned to look back. The lake and trees were long gone. All around her stretched fold. I've been de-shed. All around her stretched fold after fold of unfamiliar hills. She opened her mouth, picking up the sharp scent of moorland grass and a hint of rabbit. The sun was going down, but there was no sign of any trees or bushes where she and Crowfeather could shelter for the night. The WindClan warrior followed her up the slope and stood close beside her. Warmth crept back into Leafpool's tired legs as she felt his pelt brush hers. This cat could still give her courage and hope when everything else seemed strange and frightening. What about everything you've left behind? A small voice mewed inside her. Leafpool tried to imagine what was happening in her clan. Firestar would be furious that she'd abandoned them without saying a word. Cinderpelt would have to find a new apprentice. Scorflight would miss her so much. A jolt of pain shook Leafpool, almost enough to make her turn her paws back towards the lake. But how could she go back now, when every cat knew what she had done, and that Crowfeather was with her? Nothing mattered as long as she had Crowfeather. Her love for him tingled through her from ears to tail tip. She had to keep on believing that her decision was the right one. Just a bit further. Crowfeather nosed her ear. We need to find somewhere to sleep before it gets dark. Okay. Leafpool forced her paws to follow him along the ridge. They had been traveling all day, even though neither of them had gotten any sleep the previous night, and she felt more exhausted than she had ever been in her life. Suddenly, Crowfeather stopped and pointed down with his tail. Look! When she caught up, Leafpool saw that just ahead the ground fell away into a rocky hollow. A tiny pool lay at the bottom, shaded by a couple of wind-scorched thorn trees. Thanks, StarClan, she exclaimed. Shelter and water. Summoning up her last scrape of energy, she bounded down the slope, paws slipping on the loose stones, until she could crouch beside the pool and lap from it. The memory of her late visit to the moon pool flooded into her mind. Not again, the inner voice told her, or never again, her inner voice told her. You're not a medicine cat anymore. Welcome back, cat! But that didn't matter either. Leafpool reminded herself. Spotted Leaf had told her to follow her heart. She must be doing the right thing. The brave gray-black warrior joined her beside the pool, peering into the water. "I can't see any fish," he commented. His words reminded Leafpool how hungry she was. The only fresh kill they'd had all day was the scrawny vole they had shared beside the stream not long after setting out. It seemed like moons ago now. "You can catch us rabbit in the morning," she mewed, trying to ignore how faint the smell of rabbit had been. "You're good at hunting on moorland like this. You can teach me how to." Sure. Sure, you'll learn soon," Crowfeather replied. "But I don't think we need to wait until morning. There must be some sort of prey around here." He stood with his jaws wide, tasting the air. Leafpool stood beside him, ears standing straight, until she heard the sound of tiny creatures scuffling under the thorn trees. A heartbeat later, she spotted a mouse and dropped into a hunter's crouch. With a purr of satisfaction, she pounced. At the same moment, a second mouse shot out from some dead leaves. Crowfeather grabbed it with one paw. "There! What did I tell you?" he mewed, padding over to Leafpool so they could eat together. They found a patch of sand between the roots of one of the stunted trees, sheltered from the wind and by its twisting branches, and devoured the mice in a few famished gulps. "You were right about the prey," Leafpool murmured, swiping her tongue around her mouth. "I'm glad you're here. I would be so scared without you." "I'll always look after you," Crowfeather promised, resting his nose in her fur. "Tomorrow, we're bound to find somewhere better to live. After all, the clans found the lake, and we don't need such a big territory when it's just the two of us." Leafpool nodded. "These hills can't go on forever, can they?" "We'll be fine. You'll see," Crowfeather assured her. "I know." Leafpool's voice faded as she sank exhaustedly into sleep. She was standing in a dark place, her paws cold on dew-drenched grass. She was surrounded by fearful snarling, but she couldn't see where it came from, even though she wrenched her head frantically from side to side. Then she realized that the darkness that surrounded her was a rolling cloud of black fog. It drifted apart for an instant to show her waves lapping the lakeshore. Her dream had taken her home, but the reek of blood engulfed her, and she saw that the water in the lake was a blood-red tide, sucking hungrily at the land. "No!" she gasped. "Before all is peaceful, blood will spill blood, and the lake will run red." Every hair on her pelt stood on end. She had left her clan far behind. Why couldn't she escape StarClan's terrible prophecy? The snarling died away, only to break out again behind her, louder than before. Leafpool spun around. The black fog still billowed around her, but she could see huge lumbering shapes moving within it. They were too blurred for Leafpool to make out, although she caught glimpses of blunt claws, snapping jaws, and small malicious eyes. A huge dark mass loomed over her, and a claw slashed across her face, ruffling her whiskers and barely missing her eye. She leaped back and felt sticky liquid washing around her paws. The stench of blood filled her nose and mouth. "StarClan, help me!" she yowled. Her eyes flew open. She was lying in the moorland hollow with thorn branches above her head and Crowfeather at her side. She drew a long breath of relief. Then she realized that the WindClan warrior was rising to his paws, his body rigid with tension as he stared into the darkness. "Who's there?" he called sharply. Leafpool heard shuffling paw steps coming closer. Crowfeather moved protectively in front of her, peering past him. Leafpool could just make out a dark, slow-moving shape like the ones in her dream. Am I really awake? Then a cloud moved away from the moon. Silver light washed down into the hollow, revealing a large, thick-furred creature with a broad white stripe down its pointed muzzle. A badger! Leafpool sprang to her paws. "Keep back!" she growled. Crowfeather waved his tail. "It's all right, Leafpool," he meowed. "It's midnight." Still trembling, Leafpool gazed up at the old she-badger. Midnight lived beside the sundrown place. What was she doing here on the moor? Leafpool padded forward cautiously, and she had always wanted to meet the badger who had warned her sister and Brambleclaw that the forest was being destroyed by Twlight, and all the clans would have to leave. Without her, they would have never discovered the new place StarClan had chosen for them. "Greetings, Crowpaw." Midnight's eyes were bright with surprise. "Even I not foresee meeting you here." Greetings, Midnight," Crowfeather meowed. "We didn't expect to see you either. I'm not Crowpaw anymore, he added. My name is Crowfeather, in memory of Feathertail. Yes, she watches you still, Midnight told him. Leafpool winced. Crowfeather seemed to sense she was feeling awkward, and he brought her forward with a gesture of his tail. This is Leafpool, he meowed, Squirrelflight's sister. Leafpool dipped her head. It's good to meet you at last, Midnight. I've heard a lot about you. Your sisters speak of you, Midnight replied. StarClan shows you much future also? Yes, I'm a medicine cat. Leafpool blinked. Not anymore. The old badger glanced from her to Crowfeather and back again. You flee, yes? She demanded. Leafpool stiffened. Did Midnight know she and Crowfeather were running away from their clans? Is that why she came to find them? How did you know? She asked wearily. Before Midnight could reply, Crowfeather took a pace forward. We had to leave, he explained. We're from different clans, and there's no way we could stay together if... Wait. Midnight raised a massive paw. You mean here alone you are? Where rest of cats? In their territories, by the lake. Crowfeather pointed with his tail. Then you not know? Know what? Leafpool's claws slid out in sudden panic. Midnight lowered her head. Is great trouble coming? Many of my kin with clans are angry, she rasped. Cats drive them out of their place. Now they come to attack and drive you out. Take back what once was theirs. Leafpool drew in a sharp breath. We drove a badger out of our territory, she remembered. A female with kits. And Hawkfrost chased out one in River Clan, Crowfeather meowed. Leafpool hardly heard him. Her head spun as she plunged back into her dream of blood and slashing claws. You say they're going to attack the clans? She whispered. And whose side are you on, Midnight? Crowfeather asked harshly. Midnight's gaze met him. I have no side. Cats, badgers, in peace could live. I speak against attack, but my kin not listen to me. For many days now they talk of blood and revenge. Crowfeather drew closer to Leafpool. She could feel his body quivering. What do they plan to do? He asked. Many badgers gather. Your sets they will attack. Kill many cats. Drive out others. Our sets. She means our camps. Leafpool's fur stood on end. She and Crowfeather would be safe out here, but the clans they had left behind would be destroyed. Their clanmates murdered. No, she whispered. It can't happen. So what are you doing here? Crowfeather asked Midnight. I go warn clans. Tell them what is coming. The old she-badger replied. Will you help? Leafpool opened her jaws to speak. But Crowfeather interrupted. No. We left our clans for good. There's nothing we can do. Crowfeather, no! A shiver of horror passed through Leafpool from ears to tail tip. We can't leave our clans to die. Crowfeather's amber eyes were full of pain. Gently, he touched his nose to Leafpool's muzzle. I know, he mewed, but Midnight is going to warn them. They'll be safe if they listen to her. What more could we do? Leafpool broke off, not sure she knew the answer. We've come too far, Crowfeather insisted. If we go back now, Evercat will know what we've done. We won't be able to leave again. Things will be the same as they ever were. Worse, because we won't be able to meet up like we used to. Evercat will be watching us, waiting for us to slip away. All this will be for nothing. Leafpool gasped with pain, as if the claws of the badger in her dream had torn her pelt away. She knew Crowfeather was right. They would lose everything if they went back now. Yet how could they keep going when they knew what terrible danger their clanmates were facing? Midnight looked from her to Crowfeather, then back again. Leafpool didn't know how much the badger understood about the duties of medicine cats, or about the warrior code that said that cats from different clans could not be together. But there was warmth and understanding in her gaze, as if Midnight somehow sensed the struggles they have gone through before they made the decision to leave. StarClan go with you, the badger murmured. Future rest in paws of warrior ancestors. All I can, I will do. Thank you, meowed Leafpool. She watched as midnight lumbered away up the slope in the direction of the territory they had left. Her paws trembled with guilt and sadness. Her clanmates were in trouble, and she was deliberately choosing not to help them. Crowfeather nuzzled her ear. "Let's get some more sleep," he meowed. Leafpool curled up beside him under the thorn trees, but sleep refused to come. Her mind was filled of images of snarling badgers and bursting into ThunderClan camp, ripping apart her clanmates. "StarClan be with them," she prayed. Her dream had shown her how savage the attack would be. She remembered the dreams that the other medicine cats had described at the moon pool, dreams of darkness and slashing claws. And now she had received the same message from StarClan. Leafpool's pelt tingled. The starry warriors were still speaking to her. She hadn't lied to Midnight when she said she was still a medicine cat. She could tell Crowfeather wasn't asleep either. He kept shifting restlessly, and when she heard him sigh, he pressed himself closer to her, as if trying to comfort her or himself. At last, Leafpool drifted into light, troubled sleep. She seemed to float in gray mist, with nothing to tell her where she was. Suddenly, the emptiness was ripped apart by a shriek of agony. "StarClan, help me!" Leafpool leapt up, trembling, to see the thorn branches outlined against the sky growing pale with the first light of dawn. She had recognized the voice in her dreams. It was Cinderpelt. "Crowfeather!" she gasped. "I can't stay here. We have to go back." Crowfeather lifted his head. His amber eyes were sad. "I know," he meowed. "I feel the same way. We have to go and help our clans." Relief flooded over Leafpool. She loved him even more at that moment because he understood, because he cared for his clanmates as much as she cared for hers. Briefly, she pressed her muzzle against his, with a purr that lasted no more than a heartbeat. "Let's go," she meowed. Dum-bum. "I'm glad your tummy ache..." Oh wait, your tummy ache was received, not tummy ache relieved? No, that's terrible news. That's even worse than what I thought. I'm trying to drink my coffee really fast, hoping that it will wake me up, but I'm worried it's making me sleepier. Luckily, we only have 50 pages left. I'll be able to make it. "Mouse stung," Squirrelflight muttered. The starling she had just missed fluttered onto a branch above her head, while her empty claws sank into the moss. How was she supposed to concentrate on hunting when every waking moment was filled with worry for her sister? I should have stopped her, she thought bleakly. "Bad luck," Asher meowed, coming up behind her. "Should we call it a day? We've got more than enough to carry back." "Okay." Squirrelflight followed him to the place under a thorn bush where he had scraped earth over their previous kills. Spiderleg joined them, a squirrel dangling from his jaws, and the hunting patrol headed back to camp. "Come on," Asher murmured to Squirrelflight as when they had dropped their catch on the fresh kill pile. "Leafpool will be fine." "How can she be fine when she's left everything behind?" Squirrelflight retorted. "Why don't you rest for a while?" the Grey Warrior suggested, pointing with his tail at a sunny spot near the wall of the hollow. "You hardly slept at all last night." "And I won't be able to sleep now. I'm going to make sure Cinderpelt has eaten." "Hi! What should you name your trapinch?" "Orange!" "Or Clementine!" "I'm gonna make sure Cinderpelt has eaten." "Thank you for the follow, Pokemon!" Squirrelflight grabbed a vole from the fresh kill pile and patted across the clearing to the medicine cat's den. Rounding the screen of brambles, she found Cinderpelt crouched in the opening of her den with her paws tucked under her. Her blue eyes were fixed on nothing. Squirrelflight shivered. It looked as though Cinderpelt were gazing at horrors that only she could see. The medicine cat blinked and looked up at her. Squirrelflight, is there any news? How about Leafpool? Squirrelflight set the bowl down in front of Cinderpelt. No, nothing. I brought you some fresh kill. The medicine cat turned her head away. Thanks, but I'm not hungry. You have to eat, Squirrelflight protested. She wondered if Cinderpelt blamed herself for Leafpool's disappearance. The medicine cat seemed to have no courage or energy left. We need you now more than ever, now that Leafpool's gone. Cinderpelt let out a long sigh. But I failed. Utterly failed. It's not your fault. Squirrelflight wriggled into the narrow opening beside Cinderpelt so that she could press herself comfortably against her. You're a great medicine cat. What would ThunderClan do without you? Cinderpelt gazed at her, a searching look that made Squirrelflight feel like she was about to drown in the blue depths of her eyes. Cinderpelt seemed to be on the verge of confiding something to her, but all she said was, I wish things didn't have to change. They don't have to. They won't. Leafpool will come back. We have to believe that. Cinderpelt shook her head and closed her eyes. Squirrelflight stretched out a paw and nudged the vole a bit closer to her. Come on. You'll feel better when you've eaten. Cinderpelt hesitated, then bent down to sniff the fresh kill. Squirrelflight, will you go and check on Sorreltail? She meowed after a moment. I'm worried about her. You know what good friends she and Leafpool were. Does Sorreltail know what's happening? Confined to the nursery because her kits were due any day, the young tortoiseshell warrior might not have heard the news. Yes, I told her last night. To Squirrelflight's relief, Cinderpelt was beginning to sound more like her normal self. She was upset, so I gave her some poppy seeds to help her sleep. Sure, I'll look in on her. On one condition, that I see you eating that vole before I go. A faint gleam of horror crept into Cinderpelt's eyes. You never give up, do you? All right, and call me if Sorreltail needs anything. As Squirrelflight slid out of the den, the medicine cat sniffed the bowl again, took a bite, and then began to eat more quickly, as if she had suddenly realized how hungry she was. Squirrelflight left her and headed to the nursery. Just outside, Bright Hat was bending over Barricade. She straightened up as Squirrelflight approached. There, she mewed. That thorn won't bother you again. Give your paws a good lick now. Thanks! Barricade looked up admiringly at the ginger white she-cat. The horse-placed cat seemed to have stopped noticing her scars. You're the best medicine cat ever! I'm not a medicine cat, Brightheart corrected him, with a sidelong glance at Squirrelflight. ThunderClan already has 2 medicine cats. I'll never be one. Well, I think you are, Barricade meowed, licking his paw vigorously. It's a pity Brightheart couldn't have said that while Leafpool was here, Squirrelflight thought. Hi, she mewed. Cinderpelt sent me to check on Sorreltail. Sorreltail's fine, Brightheart told her. She and Daisy shared a rabbit earlier, and now she's asleep again. Great StarClan, she's huge, she added. It can't be long before she starts to kit. That's good. Squirrelflight tried to summon up enthusiasm, but she couldn't get excited about the first kits to be born in their new home while her mind was filled with worrying about Leafpool and Cinderpelt. She poked her head into the nursery and saw a tortoise-shell mound of fur sleeping peacefully among the moss and ferns. Daisy and Ferncloud were close beside the young warrior, sharing tongues and mewing softly to each other. Both of them glanced up and twitched their whiskers in greeting to Squirrelflight. Brightheart had gone by the time she backed out again. Squirrelflight caught a glimpse of her tail whisking behind the bramble screen in front of Cinderpelt's den. Trusting Brightheart to report about Sorreltail to the medicine cat, Squirrelflight headed for the fresh kill pile to find a piece of prey. Firestar was there, sharing a squirrel with Sandstorm, while Brambleclaw devoured a thrush a tail length away. I want you to lead the dawn patrol, Firestar was mewing to Brambleclaw as Squirrelflight came up. Have a good look along WindClan border. It's possible you'll come across more traces of Leafpool. Brambleclaw swallowed a mouthful. I'll take Cloudtail. He's one of our best trackers. Hesitantly, he added, but we followed your trail quite a long way into the hills. I don't think we'll find anything else now. You might. Firestar insisted. It was as if he couldn't admit that they might never see Leafpool again. Like Graystripe? Squirrelflight suddenly wondered. Sandstorm lifted her head. You You might meet her coming back, she mewed. If you do, don't be angry with her. Brambleclaw nodded. Don't worry. If I see her, I'll make sure she feels safe to come home. Squirrelflight couldn't tell he didn't hold much hope of setting eyes on the missing medicine cat. She was beginning to agree with him. Even though she clung to the hope that her sister would come back, she knew how hard it would be for Leafpool when she made the impossible decision to leave. She chose a magpie from the pile and settled down to eat it. Are you okay? Brambleclaw asked quietly. Not really, she replied. You shouldn't blame yourself, Sandstorm assured her. But it's my fault. All Squirrelflight's worries spilled over, and she had to stop herself from wailing like a lost kit. I knew Leafpool was leaving the camp at night, and I didn't do anything. Firestar leaned over to give her ear a comforting link. We should have all seen that there was something troubling Leafpool. Yes, Brambleclaw put in unexpectedly, but if you had done anything, you might have driven her away sooner. No cat knows. Her gaze slid past her to the camp entrance. His gaze slid past her to the camp entrance, where Ashfur had just appeared with his apprentice. They headed for the fresh kill pile. Brambleclaw finished his prey, swiped his tongue around his jaws, and stalked off before the gray tomcat came up. That was a lot. That was good work. Ashfur meowed as he and Birchpaw approached. Take some fresh kill to the elders, then you're done for today. Birchpaw grabbed some prey from the pile and dashed off across the clearing, while Ashfur padded over to Squirrelflight. Firestar and Sandstorm got up and left the two of them together. I just gave Birchpaw a training session, Ashfur told Squirrelflight. He learns really fast. That's good, Squirrelflight replied, trying to feel pleased that Ashfur's mentoring was going well. You look exhausted. Ashfur touched his nose to her ear. This time you are going to rest, so don't argue. Squirrelflight felt as though ants were crawling through her pelt. The last thing she wanted to do was lie down, unable to sleep. But seeing the concern in her clanmate's eyes, she sighed and gave in. Finishing her prey, she padded over to the sunny spot near the wall, where she stretched out on her side and let the rays of the setting sun soak into her fur. Ashfur crouched close beside her and began to lick her shoulder soothingly. In spite of the thoughts that buzzed in her mind, Squirrelflight began to drift into sleep. But the buzzing grew louder, and she didn't realize it wasn't inside her head after all. She realized it wasn't inside her head after all. A low, grumbling roar was approaching through the trees. Irritated, she raised her head. What in Starkland's name is that? Before she had finished speaking, the startled wail of a cat came from outside the clearing. The thorns rustled violently, and Whitepaw skidded out of the mouth of the tunnel, her ears flat to her head and her eyes huge with fear. Breaking-Fur was hard on her paws. Squirrelflight jumped up. The roaring grew clearer. It was the sound of many creatures growling and snarling. It became louder still, and it seemed to fill the whole forest, and with it came snapping noises and breaking twigs, as if something were trampling down the barrier across the entrance to the hollow. Suddenly, Squirrelflight saw an enormous creature thrust its way through the branches. The dying sunlight showed her a broad head with a narrow, striped snout, massive shoulders, and strong, blunt claws. Badger! She yowled. Cats ran from all around the clearing. Firestar emerged from his den on the high ledge and launched himself down the rock fall. Brambleclaw pushed his way out of the warrior's den, closely followed by Sandstorm and Cloudtail. Cinderpole and Brightheart brushed past the bramble screen and in front of the medicine cat's den. Brightheart's good eye narrowed as she snarled at the intruder. The badger had paused just inside the barrier, swinging its head from side to side as it scanned the clearing with small, bright eyes. Squirrelflight was about to hurl herself on it when more trampling noises kept their paws frozen to the ground in horror. Other badgers were breaking their way into camp, more than she could count, crashing the thorn bushes like blades of grass. With a roar that seemed to come from all their throats at once, the badgers surged forward. In an instant, the hollow was filled with gaping jaws and slashing claws. Squirrelflight glimpsed Rain Whisker being caught by one leg and tossed into the air. He landed with a dull thud a fox length away and didn't get up. Suddenly, a striped face loomed in front of her. Squirrelflight looked up against a clump of brambles, hissing as she lashed out with both front paws. The badger's rank scent stung in her throat. "Get out, or I'll claw your fur out," she rasped. Then she felt her shoulders subside, Then she felt herself shouldered aside, stumbling to keep her balance as a streak of gray fur flashed past her. Ashfur had thrown himself between her and the badger. "I can take care of myself," she hissed. But Ashfur had already leapt forward, plunging his claws into the attacker pelt, while he fastened his teeth into its ear. The badger let out a hoarse bellow, shaking its head from side to side to dislodge him. "Squirrelflight!" a voice meowed in her ear. It was Brambleclaw, bleeding from a long scratch down one shoulder. "Help me! We've got to get Daisy and the kits out of the hollow. Sorreltail, too." Without waiting for her response, he turned and raced towards the nursery, skirting the edge of the clearing. Squirrelflight darted after him, dodging a couple of screeching cats, Spiderleg and Sitfur, who darted in from opposite sides to claw one huge female badger. The great beast swung her head to and fro, jaws snapping, frustrated that she couldn't catch either of them. Brambleclaw plunged into the nursery while Squirrelflight waited at the entrance, ready to defend it. The clearing heaved with cats fighting for their lives, the badgers fighting to kill them. Squirrelflight realized that the walls of the stone hollow, which had seemed to offer such good protection now when they first found the camp, were trapping her clanmates now. They couldn't run away or avoid their enemies by climbing trees. Squirrelflight watched Birchpaw scrabble a few tailings up the rock wall, only to fall back into the claws of a badger. The apprentice saved himself by squeezing into a narrow crack at the front of the cliff, just out of reach of the swiping black paws. How will Dusty and Sorreltail and the kid survive or escape? Daisy would never be able to defend herself against something like a badger, and Sorreltail was too close to giving birth to fight well. Could they climb to the high ledge? Squirrelflight wondered, and take shelter in Firestar's den? But the fallen rocks were too easy to climb, easy enough for a badger, and they could all be trapped up there. More badgers were trying to enter through the wreckage of the thorns. At least that was their only way in. Firestar flung himself at the barrier, fighting furiously with Dustpelt, Sandstorm, and Thornclaw beside him. Thornclaw was picked up by a massive paws and sent spinning into a clump of nettles. The trembling stalks closed around him, and he didn't reappear. Squirrelflight glimpsed her father clinging desperately to a badger's shoulder while he clawed at its eyes. Then another of the huge creatures pushed in front of him, and she couldn't see anymore. "Where's Daisy?" a hoarse voice mewed. Squirrelflight turned her head to see Cloudtail limping towards her. The white warrior's pelt was covered with dust, but the light of battle still gleamed in his blue eyes. "In here," Squirrelflight mewed, nodding to the bramble thicket behind her. "Brambleclaw's fetching her." The happy warrior appeared as she spoke, pushing Daisy in front of him. Berry Kit squirmed in his jaws, wailing. Thought it was Daisy's jaws. Daisy's eyes were stretched wide with horror. "They'll kill all of us," she yowled. "What about my kits?" "We'll save your kits." Squirrelflight's surprised, Brightheart had made her way across the clearing from the medicine cat's den. "It's not their fault their mother brought them here," she muttered fiercely as she vanished into the nursery. Cloudtail followed her to fetch the third kit. "But we'll never get out," Daisy wailed, staring at the fight that's still going at the camp entrance. "Yes, you will," Squirrelflight meowed. She suddenly remembered how Leafpool had snuck out of the camp to meet Crowfeather. "I know a way." "Show us." Brambleclaw managed to speak around the kid in his jaws. Squirrelflight glanced into the nursery to yowl. "Hurry up!" Brightheart appeared at once, but she wasn't carrying a kit. "Fetch Cinderpelt," she snapped. "Sorreltail's kits are coming. Now!" "She's having our babies now?" Panic swept through Squirrelflight. "Great StarClan, no!" Scanning the clearing, she couldn't see Cinderpelt, but she caught sight of Sorreltail's mate, Breakenfur, battling furiously with the badger only a few tail lengths away. He obviously was trying to reach the nursery. "Breakenfur, her, run! She yowled, launching herself at the badger and clawing at its haunches. The creature swung aside, battling at the air, giving Brakenfur the chance to dodge around it. Squirrelflight let go of the badger and raced back to the nursery. Sorreltail's kits are coming, she gasped. No! She added, blocking Brakenfur as he tried to dive into the bramble thicket. Find Cinderpelt! Brakenfur shot her a look from eyes glazed with fear. Then he turned and plunged across the clearing towards Cinderpelt's den. A gap opened up among the battling animals, just enough for Squirrelflight to see him meet the medicine cat. He gestured frantically with his tail. Then both cats headed back towards the nursery. They arrived just as Cloudtail and Brightheart appeared from the brambles, each with a kit in their jaws. If Sorreltail's kits are really coming, she can't be moved, Cinderpelt meowed. One of you must stay guard in the entrance. The rest of you, do what you can to save yourselves and the kits. I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, the shock and terror would trigger the kits coming out. Like when you pee yourself. She vanished into the nursery without waiting to see if her order was obeyed. I'll stay, Brakenfur offered instantly. I'll come back and help you, Squirrelflight promised. As soon as I've shown the others how to get out. It's this way. She glanced from side to side, trying to judge the safest way to reach Leafpool's escape route. It's all the way on the other side of the clearing. At least darkness had fallen, and although the center of the clearing was lit by the faint light of the crescent moon, shadows lay thickly around the edges. Badgers could see well in the dark, but Squirrelflight hoped that they were too distracted by the battle to bother with a few cats slipping along beside the walls. Stay close to me, she warned Daisy. She padded around the edge of the hollow, sheltering as well as she could beneath brambles and clumps of fern. She could hear the quick, terrified breathing of the horseplate cat beside her. Behind her, and further back, the faintest mewling of her kits, almost drowned out by the snarls and screeching of battle animals, no more than a couple of tail lengths away. What's happening? Mouse Kit asked plaintively. What's all the noise about? Yeah, and why do we have to be carried? Berry Kit complained. I'm big enough to walk all by myself. You're being carried because badgers are such big, clumsy creatures, Daisy told them over her shoulders. They might tread on you in the dark. Squirrelflight felt a flash of admiration for the way she was hiding her fear from the kits. If a badger stepped on me, I'll bite it, Hazelkit boasted. You won't get a chance, his mother meowed. Now, keep quiet and stop wriggling, and we'll be perfectly safe. She caught Squirrelflight's eyes as she spoke, as if warning her to not disagree. They shrank back against the camp as well as the camp wall as a badger lumbered past, roaring furiously as it tried to dislodge Thornclaw, who was clinging to its shoulder and raking its claws over its ear. As they passed the hazel bush where the elders had their den, Squirrelflight saw Mousefur crouched at the shelter of the branches, her claws bared and her eyes gleaming with fury. Goldenflower and Longtail were just behind her. Come with us, Squirrelflight called softly. I know a way to climb the walls. Mousefur shook her head. Blind cat can't climb rocks, she replied with a glance at Longtail. Then you go, Longtail responded. I can still claw a badger if it comes near enough. Mousefur hissed at him. We're all staying together, and that's that. Squirrelflight didn't have time to stand around arguing. Beside her, Daisy was shivering with fear, barely holding back panic. Brambleclaw, Cloudtail, and Brightheart had caught up with them and were shifting restlessly under the weight of the kits they carried. Squirrelflight heard Berrykit asking, Why have we stopped? You can hide on the high ledge, she suggested to Mousefur. Longtail should be able to get up there if you guide him. She still had her doubts about how safe Firestar's den would be, but at least it was more sheltered than down here. Okay, Mousefur nodded. Longtail, grab my tail with your teeth. Squirrelflight led the way past the warrior's den. Daisy and the others following close behind her. She had to halt briefly as a badger broke out through the branches, blood pouring from its side. It looked ready to give up. Sandstorm shot out after it, yowling, Get out and stay out! Squirrelflight flicked her ears at her mother as the badger fled, but there was no time to stop. When they were more than halfway around the hollow, a pale gray shape slid out of the shadows. It was Ashfur. One ear was torn and thick, and a trickle of blood came from a deep scratch on his flank. He was breathing hard, but he didn't seem to be seriously hurt. Squirrelflight, are you okay? He exclaimed. Yes, fine. I'm going to show Daisy and her kits a way out. I'll come with you. Squirrelflight twitched her whiskers impatiently. No! Go to the nursery and help Brakenfur. For a heartbeat, Ashfur hesitated, and Squirrelflight thought he was going to object. Then he slipped past her and the rest of the cats and vanished into the darkness. A badger spotted him, let out a roar, and gave chase, but Squirrelflight couldn't stop to help. Come on, she muttered. It's not far now. Her belly clenched at the shriek of a cat in pain rose above her the clamor. Turmoil filled the clearing, and the huge shapes of badgers lunging after their prey, with the small, lithe forms of her clanmates flitting between them, dashing in to strike a blow, then darting off again. Squirrelflight couldn't see the thorn barrier from here, but she realized even more invaders must have broken through. Great Star Clan, is this the end? Listening and playing Cookie Run, the cat drama's real. Ah! Okay, I have bad news. The bad news is, because I've been cold turkey on my meds, I'm so tired right now. Literally, as I'm reading, my eyes are falling. Like they're like. It's like when you're trying to pay attention to your teacher while you're falling asleep after lunch. That's what I'm going through right now. I managed to read that while I was falling asleep. So, unfortunately, this dang book is gonna have to wait another little bit. But we only have 30 pages left, so I think I might try and stream the rest of it tomorrow. Just, like, even though it's not a Warrior Cat Wednesdays, just to, like, get it finished. And then, it shouldn't take too long. Oh, my frames dropped. Uh-oh. Oh my god, even OBS is telling me to stop. That's funny. Okay. So yeah, I think I'll try and finish it tomorrow after work. I have a long day tomorrow, so it'll just be a short stream. Either well, that actually might be a good tester to see how well I'll be able to stream after a long day. Since it's not too like demanding because I'm just reading. And then if I still have a lot of energy, then maybe I can just play a little bit of Moonstone Island or something? Maybe Clan Gen? I don't know. But we'll finish tomorrow. Hopefully. And that's that. Oh. I'm gonna nap. We are both nappy guys. We're full of sleepiness. Munch, crunch, crunch. Yeah, I'm trying to eat. I also know how this book is gonna end, and I want to be like awake to actually read it because I know what's gonna happen. I remember now. Okay. Lay down if you think about it. That's true. Sleepy Squad, lay down. Okay, let's go to the ending screen. I'm not gonna rate anyone because I think it was a pretty quiet little group of fellows today. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, definitely, I don't know, I'll slap my wrists or something. I don't know. Give myself a little kicky in the butt. Bye-bye, cat. You too. You also rest. Sleep well. Remember, everyone, Moderation is the key to true happiness. So be moderate with things.